And I don't think I've ever seen an indictment like this in all of my time. It alleges human trafficking, human rights violations, the use of forced labor, human rights violations specific to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race, and their use as basically slaves from what the indictment alleges, along with human trafficking and neglect with serious risk of bodily injury or death. I don't find the bond to be sufficient.
Whitefeather and Lance were first arrested last October when a welfare check turned into the discovery of two teens apparently locked in a shed where investigators said they lived in deplorable conditions behind the Sissonville home. One other kid was found inside the house and two others were not home, all adopted by the couple. The indictment brought more than a dozen new charges against them alleging human trafficking and forced labor, also civil rights violations, as investigators believe they targeted these children specifically from a shelter because they were black, forcing them to work as slaves. Whitefeather and Lance were originally in Washington State, and it is alleged they brought the children with them to Sissonville when they moved.
Counts 9 through 12 allege the use of forced labor, which I read as slavery.
Bond was initially set at $200,000 cash, and they were both able to post it. Prosecutors have said in a new complaint for forfeiture,
they should not even get any damn bail. They should be no bail at all. Stay in jail till trial.
The couple sold a $725,000 80-acre ranch in Washington State and sold their Sissonville home to post bond. And they believe both of these properties were paid for through trafficking. That will be decided in a separate court matter. But because of this, prosecutors say they found discrepancies in the financial affidavit Lance filled out for a court-appointed attorney, leading to a new charge on his indictment.
Some of the information on his face is inaccurate.
Lance had to fill out a new affidavit today as the two were taken back into custody.
It's insane, man. It is insane. What, and Twitter has become a place where, racist whites could just have a safe space. It's just a place of racist whites and OnlyFans models. That's basically what it's about. Okay. It's basically what it is. Because you have some saying that, can we at least deport the blacks? One person says that, when you ask them to mow the lawn, and they could get away with it just flippantly. Racist whites who cower behind keyboards.
Adoptive parents of 3 children are in jail today after Kanawha County deputies said 2 teens were found locked inside a barn. Hannah Klein breaks down the investigation after deputies say they received a 911 call from someone concerned about the kids.
A stunning find.
What's funny too is that these kids will be traumatized for life. And you will have racist whites say, well, you have to get over slavery. Get over it. And then when you retaliate and want to kick their ass, they want to play victim. Okay? People like this, they have to be put under the jail. Blacks should unite. Okay? Pull their money together and use every legal resource to make sure these people stay in jail, face trial, and go to prison. Okay? That's what needs to happen. That's what should happen. Send a message to these racist whites. You're not going to do this anymore. That's what has to happen. The only way this will stop happening if blacks start having allies. Blacks who are West Indian, blacks who come from all over the diaspora, come together and fight white supremacy, period.
In Sissonville has led to the arrest of 2 adoptive parents.
You're being charged with a felony, child neglect, creating risk of injury.
Donald Lance and Jean Whitefeather now in jail as their children are now with CPS. It started on Monday when deputies got a call just before 6 o'clock in the evening. The 2 children were being locked in a barn at this home on Cheyenne Lane in Sissonville.
They weren't able to locate any guardians or parental figures or anybody around the residence or the barn, and started having a conversation with 2 children that were inside the barn.
Deputies eventually forced their way into the barn, where they said they found a 16-year-old girl and 14-year-old boy inside a 20 by 14-foot room. Investigators say the teens had no way to get out of the shed with no running water, no bathroom. The girl told deputies their parents had brought them food around 6 o'clock that morning, but said her and her brother weren't allowed in the house and were locked in the barn for long periods every day. Eyewitness News spoke to neighbors who were...
And imagine what would have happened when she had reached a full adult, what they would have probably done to her when she was 17 or 18 or 19. This bastard right here would probably have raped her, had kids, and probably brought human traffickers over to buy them. This is what this bastard would have done.
Afraid to go on camera, but claim multiple families called police about the children's safety several times, and they are thankful they are now safe.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty bad case. I mean, it's in any type of situation like this, it's not really comparable. A horrific condition, like, it's just not.
They've called multiple times. Why didn't they go over there and break down that damn door? I'm sure if they were white kids, you would have done that. I'm sure if it was Jewish kids, you would have done that. Because they were black, you just called the police.
How you want, or how you would even expect children to be raised or being taken care of.
Lance and Whitefeather eventually showed up at the home. They're now charged with child neglect, creating substantial risk of injury. The mother admitted the children were left in the shed, but reportedly told deputies they, quote, liked it.
They're trying to, get the children back in better living conditions, better placement, and the detectives will continue to investigate and build this case.
Hold on a minute. Rewind a part back.
A 16-year-old girl and 14-year-old boy inside a 20 by 14-foot room. Investigators say the teens had no way to get out of the shed with no running water, no bathroom. The girl told deputies their parents had brought them food around 6 o'clock that morning, but said her and her brother weren't allowed in the house and were locked in the barn for long periods every day. Eyewitness News spoke to neighbors who were afraid to go on camera, but claim multiple families called police about the children's safety several times, and they are thankful they are now safe.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty bad case. I mean, it's in any type of situation like this, it's not really comparable. A horrific condition, like, it's just not how you want.
They were afraid. Why? You were afraid you were going to be called a nigger lover? Is that it? Let's be honest. You're afraid you'd be called a nigger lover. We know how racist whites act towards whites who dare to care about black people as human beings, dare to call out whites who act like racists, call them racist. We know how it goes. Yeah. You're just as bad as the whites who commit these type of atrocities.
or how you would even expect children to be raised or been taken care of.
Lance and Whitefeather eventually showed up at the home. They're now charged with child neglect, creating substantial risk of injury. The mother admitted the children were left in the shed, but reportedly told deputies they, quote, liked it.
They're trying to, get the children back in better living conditions, better placement, and the detectives will continue to investigate and build this case.
In Sissonville, Hannah Klein, Eyewitness News.
Yeah. You see how they want to say all lives matter. No, they don't. All lives do not matter. Yeah. Insane. You love it how some of these Sky News wants to say alleged. They want to say alleged. It allegedly happened. A wealthy white West Virginia couple forced their adopted black children to work as slaves and sleep in a barn, according to disturbing charges. Donald Ray Lance, 63, and Jan K. Whitefeather, 62, pleaded not guilty to more than a dozen new charges on Tuesday, after two teens were found locked in a crumbling shed in ratty clothing. Metro News reported. Wow, they really wanted to live like their ancestors and treat blacks how they wanted to treat them. Lance and Whitefeather were first arrested in October after a wellness check led to the discovery of the couple's 5 adopted children, aged 6, 9, 11, 14, and 16, living in deplorable conditions on their Sissonville property. The indictment, which Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers said was one of the worst she's ever seen, alleges that the adopted children were forced to work on the couple's farmland because of their race. It alleges human trafficking, human rights violations, the use of forced labor, Akers told the court. Human rights violations specific to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves, from what the indictment alleges. The couple faces numerous charges, including human trafficking of a minor child, use of a minor child in forced labor, and child neglect, creating substantial risk of serious bodily injury or death. Whitefeather and Lance were arrested after a child welfare call by a neighbor claimed 2 teenagers were being locked in the shed at the couple's Sissonville home, according to court filings WCH has reported. Whitefeather sounds like a Native American name, like she has Native American blood in this woman. Well, unfortunately, Native Americans also had black slaves as well, and they also fought on the side of the Confederate to keep slavery alive in the South. Neighbors also reported that the children were forced to perform farm labor and were not permitted inside the residence. Filing said, "How did you know all this? How did you know all this? Was it the fact that you came over there and you probably just, were at barbecues and were just having a good old time while you watched these black kids work like slaves? Is that it? How did you know all of this?" Police found a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl locked in the shed. Inside was a small RV porta potty, but no lights or running water. One of the teens told police they had been locked in their barn for 12 hours when they were last fed. The two said the couple forced them to sleep on the concrete without any mattresses. They should have overpowered these white racist pieces of shit, beat the daylights out of them, and ran out of there. They both wore dirty clothes and smelled like body odor, police noted, according to the filing. The girl wore shoes, while the 14-year-old boy had open sores on his bare feet. court documents said. A 9-year-old girl was found by the police inside the main residence. 3 hours later, Lance arrived with an 11-year-old boy. Whitefeather soon followed with a 6-year-old girl who'd been with acquaintances. Whitefeather told deputies that the two teens were locked in the outbuilding, but they liked it and called it a clubhouse. Wow. The children described the ongoing abuses at the West Virginia home and their parents' other residents in Washington State. Prosecutors also said that they have evidence the couple moved from Washington after they learned they were under investigation for abuse and neglect. Judge Akers decided to raise their bond earlier after the prosecution alleged that their original cash bonds were obtained through trafficking profits after the couple was able to pay a $400,000 bond for their release from jail in February, according to Metro News. Kanawha County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Christopher Kirionak said the couple sold an 80-acre ranch in Tonasket, Washington, for $725K on February 2nd. Whitefeather's brother posted a $200,000 bond to help the couple from the South Central Regional Jail 3 days later. Also, this is a family thing. On March 28th, prosecutors said the couple sold the Sissonville home where they were arrested for $295,000. Prosecutors argued that even if their bond money came from a legitimate source, its intended use was human trafficking and forced labor. Kirionak argued the money should be transferred from the custody of the state to a trust fund for the children. Lance and Whitefeather were taken back into custody after their bonds were raised to $500,000 each. Why are you having bonds? Okay. Let me see some of these comments. Here's one from Shamil Shamazil. This is so sickening and disheartening. It will just give more ammunition to people who think that adoption should be segregated when there are already too many kids of all races who need good homes. I hope that the children get proper care, physical, mental health, and adopted into a loving homes that they deserve. And I hope the two who maltreated those kids have the book thrown out. No. Yeah. Adoptions should be segregated. Adoptions should be segregated. I think so. Because this stuff has happened way too often. There was a situation where a cop adopted a black child and groomed him into being a homosexual. There are Europeans who go over to the African country of Gambia, take those black kids over to Europe, molest them. They go to poor parts of Africa and do that. There are even Christian missionaries, European Christian missionaries who go to Africa and molest children. Okay, adoptions should be segregated. Okay. Although, honestly, I've read so many anecdotal articles, books, that those who are placed in homes that are different from their race have hard childhoods and even harder adulthoods. I would post that we need to work on the black family structure and find ways to encourage fathers to stay with the mother of their children. This is what's best and healthy all around. The problem is with that is sometimes is the dynamic, all right? The problem maybe the father was violent towards the mother, or the fact of the matter is the mother was extremely toxic, and the fact of the matter is the mother is insufferable, so he left the mother, but he wants to be in the kid's life. He left the mother, but did not leave the kids, and the mother makes it difficult, even with court and when the courts are involved, to be a father in that child's life. You also have the fact of the matter that the mother could just be a woman that likes to provoke men to anger, and before that man ends up in prison, he has to stay out of that mother's way. And sometimes the child's life. It has happened. All right. I do say yes, work on the black family structure, but there's so many reasons why the fathers stay out of the kid's life. All right. Adopted, unless they have adopted all of them at once, there's some social service employees with a lot of explaining to do. Yeah, they do. The governor has a lot of explaining to do. All right. Gonna have to see the evidence on this case. NYP didn't say what the evidence is. The deplorable conditions doesn't provide an AC, but if evidence is there, these people should be locked up. What? You see the evidence right there. What's wrong with you? Here's one person from D. I'm sure no AC just adds a whole new layer of torture. We even if they did. In what world does this situation ever become close to okay? Why are you people arguing about if they had an AC? So what are you saying? If there was an AC there, it's perfectly fine? Like I said, they say all lives matter, but that's not true. It's not true. These kids will be scarred for life and will have a deep hatred for white people. Okay? And that hatred is well earned because you have racists like this. Okay, who do these things and will hide behind stupid tropes like all lives matter. The sad thing is when this country does get shut down, when the economy shuts down and cops are not getting paid, EMS services are not getting paid to do their services, this is when hell will break loose and slavery will come back with a vengeance. You will have people of means like this racist white couple that will try to bring back slavery. And unfortunately, some of them will succeed. Okay. And proof of that, there was a man, okay, in the South where he kidnapped black prostitutes and tortured them and killed them and put them in canisters. One escaped. All right. They are trying to bring this back. They are trying to bring back slavery. And there are white people that are perfectly okay with that. They want to do that. They want to bring back slavery. We still have sundown towns in this age. We still have them. All right. Well, that's all I got to say for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anything you want to know about the channels in the description box. If you feel like donating to the Cash App, feel free to donate to the Cash App. I'm also on Twitter, Hall Talk Radio Live in 4K. I'm also on Rumble, Radical Thoughts 791. All right. You can also check me out on BitChute, and I have information there that can't really talk about on YouTube. All right. Later.